Good morning. Today we shall discuss in brief what is or critical appreciation of a poem, or how do you critically appreciate a poem. Now first let me make it clear that critical appreciation of a poem doesn't mean criticizing the poem. In fact, it means a critical reading of any poem. The meaning of its words, its rhyme scheme, the speaker, figures of speech, the style of language, the genre, the context, the tone of the speaker, etc. are the elements which make up the critical reading or appreciation of any piece of writing. Now, a critical appreciation helps in understanding the poem better. So, here are a few tips. First of all, we must read the poem carefully. So, in order to appreciate a poem, you should read it aloud or quietly several times to understand what actually the speaker is saying or what is the main message of the poem. If there are unusual or difficult words, find their meaning. Mostly the title gives you the summary or general meaning of the main idea. Secondly, we must try to know who the speaker is. The speaker in the poem can be an elderly person or a child, a student, a sailor, a shepherd, or any object like mountain, animal, or chair, or a cloud, as you read yesterday. In Shelley's poem, the cloud is the speaker of the poem. Clear? Then next, we must try to understand the theme of the poem. So try to identify the major theme in the poem that gives it a larger meaning. For this, you need to study the entire poem, including its title. Now, maybe the poem is about war, or growing old, or lost love, or beauty of nature. So, the major theme of a poem can come out, or it can be hidden in its presentation and words. And next, what you have to do is try to establish the context. The context gives the location and time of a poem, when and where the poem was written, the setting also. This is usually what prompts the creation of a poem. A poem can be prompted by a political event which has a great importance in the history of a country. Then after finding out the context, the next thing that one has to do is identify intertextuality. What does it mean? Intertextuality means that a poem looks back to another similar one. Okay, this is also called reference. If a poem has this aspect, include it in your analysis and show how this poem enhances the message of the previous one which is similar to it. Clear? Next, what one has to do is to identify the genre of the poem. Now genre, what does it mean? Genre means category. Each category or genre has its set rules and characteristics. For example, a very long narrative poem of 1,000 lines, suppose, dealing with demigods or great generals of the past and describing a terrible war or an incredible journey, can be termed as an epic. For example, Milton's Paradise Lost. Okay. Similarly, a short poem, as I told you in my previous video, a short poem of 14 lines expressing deep emotion is known as a sonnet. So there are several genres like satire, ode, mock epic, ballet, lyric, parody, etc. Got it? Now next that we have to do is identify the movements. Now you must also identify the movements which were prevalent or trending during the time that poem was written, because these movements have a great influence, a great impact on the writer. For example, all 19th century poets were influenced by the Romantic movement. Nextly, we have to analyze the rhyme scheme in a particular poem. Now, not every poem has a rhyme, but most of the poems have a rhyme scheme. For this, read a poem aloud and listen to its sound. So this will help you in identifying the rhyme scheme of that very poem. Then last but not the least, you must analyze the use of figurative language. Poetry, as you all know, uses a wide range of literary devices which may include, I explained to you, personification, metaphor, simile, where there is a comparison, or irony, also I told you, etc. Now once you find these, remember that the poet uses them for a purpose, for a particular purpose. So how does that simile or a metaphor contribute to the tone or theme of that poem? And how does the imagery being utilized to bring a deeper significance to the tone or theme of the poem? And having done all the analysis and evaluation, you should write a description of the poem and then its comprehensive interpretation in your own words. Means what you have understood from the reading of the poem, you must write it in your own words.